fire Charlie Strong. Strong's record at Texas is 16-20. The Longhorns lost in overtime Saturday to a Kansas team that was 1-9. It was their first loss to Kansas since 1938. Strong is expected to speak at a press conference later this morning. Skip, has Charlie Strong gotten a fair shot?
Yes, he has. And I must admit, I am shocked that he hasn't seized this opportunity to do a better job at Texas over a 3-year period. I got to know Charlie a little bit personally in my time at the other network. I like him very much. I believed in him. I loved what he did at Louisville as a head coach, coming off the coordinating jobs that he did for Urban Meyer at Florida and 2 national championships. He went 23-3 as the head coach at Louisville over those last 2 years, and I thought, okay, this is going to work at Texas. Now, he wasn't the first choice at Texas. In fact, I'm not even sure he was like the 9th or 10th choice. Just quickly to go over the list, they made runs at Saban and Harbaugh and Jimbo and Urban Meyer, Chip Kelly, Malzahn, Les Miles, Jim Moore, David Shaw, Mike Tomlin, James Franklin. All the big names they made runs at, and for whatever reasons, none of those clicked or worked. So it came to Charlie Strong. So I will give you this. There were great expectations in the beginning, and maybe a little too much early scrutiny for immediate signs of life and progress. And I will tell you, and I talked about this on my old show a lot, I was very impressed. Charlie walked right in the door and ran off 9 players, 9 of Mac Brown's former players, for disciplinary reasons, for violating team rules. And I thought that was a bold early statement. But that crackdown did not manifest itself in early success for his program, as I thought it would, because, as we all know, he jumps out the first year, he goes 6-7. Second year, 5-7. Some big kicking game blunders and breakdowns that looked like they were in part coaching blunders. This year, they're 5-6. And I got to tell you, I look hard at what he's done over 3 years, and there's just one statement win. There's one significant win, and it was over the team I root for, the Oklahoma Sooners, not this year, but last year. Stoops, as he will once or twice a year, just didn't have his team ready to play an arch rivalry game. Texas jumped all over him from the start. OU rallied, lost 24-17. And as I look at it hard, that's the only time I said, Charlie's got it going. I know we thought it was on opening night this year against Notre Dame, double overtime, 50-47. But now we know Notre Dame is basically a disaster. So that
might be worse than Texas.
Well, I think they are. I think they are worse than Texas. I would agree. So that brings me to what happened on Saturday. You just, as the head coach at the University of Texas, trust me, I grew up in this rivalry in the state of Oklahoma versus Texas, so I know it well, and I've spent a lot of time in Austin. There's certain things that the Texas coach just can't get away with, and losing at Kansas with an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter and losing in overtime is just not acceptable. I mean, it's going to be the final nail, man. It's hard to overcome losing to a team that had won 1 game this year against Rhode Island. 1 game against Rhode Island. It's the first time you've lost to Kansas as a school in 38 years. Come on now. And your calling card as Charlie Strong is the defensive side of the football, and he has trotted out some of the worst defenses in all of college football. Right now, they're 97th in yards allowed and 92 in the nation in points allowed. That's not right. That's not progress. And he took over at midseason, as we know, the defense. Vance Bedford demoted. So now you can't even give me that. And yet on offense, they're pretty good. They're fun to watch because Shane Buechele is a true freshman. He's got a live arm. I think they found their first pocket passer since Bobby Lane.
Well, that guy threw Kansas back into
the
ball game.
He did. No, I agree. But he's a true freshman, and you're going to get that occasionally from him. I'm with you on that. But he's had some big games, too. And that Deontay Foreman, he's leading the nation in rushing at 186 a game. You want to talk about beasting on people?
If I'm Freeman Skip, I show up on Saturdays. Okay. He carried the ball 51 times.
Yeah.
He carried it 39, 38.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't have anything during the week. I'm not showing up until Saturday to play games.
So go ahead. So they have recruited okay so far. The first year they were 16th in the country, then 9th the second year, 10th last year. They're not doing so well right now because he's on the hot seat. But it sounds like the hot seat's even over now.
Yep.
But the point is, I just thought he was better than this. And after 3 years, if I saw a little sign of progress here and there, I'd say, hey, let the kids continue to grow up, give him a shot next year. I'm sorry, as much as I like him personally, I cannot defend him any longer.
Skip, I thought the first year he didn't get a fair shake because at his introductory press conference, one of Texas' largest boosters, Rev McComb, says he'd make a great defensive coordinator.
Yep.
But if you want to win administration, you want to win the student body, you want to win boosters over, you win. And that's all he had to do. If he had one ball game, I'm going to say, the first year, chalk that up. Hey, new system, try to get your guys in there. You're trying to weed out all the bad apples, find out the guys that truly, sincerely want to play football, who truly, sincerely want to be at the University of Texas, and what it means to have that burnt orange on with that the long horn on the side of the helmet. I need to find those guys. I need to make sure the guys that were here before I got here truly want to be here. So he weeded out. And like you said, when you come in and you lay the hammer down, it needs to manifest itself in wins. It did not. With that being said, so now we go to the second and third year. Skip, you got to win. This is there are certain jobs, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Notre Dame. Those jobs, you can't go 8-4. 9-3 is not good enough for those jobs. You need to be playing, you need to get into the playoffs, or at the bare minimum, play on New Year's. You got to play in one of those big bowls, Skip. Because if you don't, they're going to run you out of town. Because they've been at the top of the mountaintop for so long. Now, I don't know if Texas in a year or two, even if I believe they're going to go after Tom Herman, the head coach of the University.
I would assume so. Yep.
I thought that at the very beginning.
And you've liked him all year.
I have. Now, maybe because I thought he did an unbelievable job of calling play. Ohio State hasn't looked the same offensively since he left.
I'm with you.
Now, and they kept Cordell Jones and they put Barrett back in there and they had a lot of the same pieces.
Correct.
Only thing but they didn't look the same. So I'm not so sure that if he comes in there, I do think they'll be better. But I don't know if they're going to be able to contend right away for a national championship. But Skip, this is not good enough. You need to play for a New Year's Day or you need to get into the playoffs. And he wasn't even close. And as you mentioned, he got the big win on opening day against Notre Dame. And you're like, okay, this is Charlie's year. And now we look at Notre Dame lost to NC State. You look at now Brian Kelly, both of these guys, you think about it. Both of these guys might lose their job.
They might.
Charlie Strong and Notre Dame's head coach, Brian Kelly, excuse me. Skip, this is disappointing. And because if you look at, like you mentioned, his expertise is defense. They are terrible. And if you look at what he had at the University of Florida, 2 national championships, he was dialing it up. And even at Louisville, you're like, okay, but Skip, sometimes the grass isn't always greener. He had a great thing at Louisville. Expectations, you go 8-4, 9-3 at Louisville.
Yep.
You're going to be there for 20 years. You go 8-4, 9-3, you might get 5 years at the University of Texas.
Yep.
Because they got rid of Mike Brown for those very same records.
They did.
After he won a national championship and lost another one when Colt McCoy got injured early in that ball game. They got rid of Mike Brown for 8-4, 9-3. That's unacceptable at this university. And Skip, Kansas didn't cost Charlie Strong this job. This was gone long before. Once he lost to Cal, once he lost those games early, he wasn't coming back. He could have beat Kansas by 40, and Charlie Strong was going to be out of this job come end of the year.
But that did cinch it, obviously. Well, that was it, man.
But see, now you don't really have to. You're like, yeah, we really like Charlie because if you fire him at 8-4, you're like, well, man, look like he was turning this thing around. Now you fire, and plus, even if he's 8-4, he loses to Kansas. You probably still gonna fire him, but you're gonna say you lost to Kansas. You can't lose to Kansas. You can't lose to Kansas in Texas, Austin. You can't lose to him in Lawrence. You can't lose to him in the parking lot. You can't lose to him in L.A. At the University of Texas, you could never ever lose to Kansas, and he lost. So, like you said, the final nail, but that wasn't even a nail. That was a tack.
Yeah.
Because
I'll buy that.
Maybe even a stapler. This was a foregone conclusion, Skip. Nobody thought with his record that he was going to be back at the University of Texas next year.
So just for perspective, according to Forbes, this is the most valuable program in all of college football, and it's not even close.
Yes.
Because it's the most profitable program in all of college football. it generated last year $92 million in pure profit, which was only $5 million short of all the revenue generated at Alabama, not counting. No, that's not about the profit, just the total revenue generated.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this is a money machine.
Yes.
And it's, as they say in Texas, big business.
Yeah.
And the guy at the helm, the head coach, has to have a little bit of charisma and showmanship. And the Charlie I know off camera, he has humility to him. He's soft-spoken. He's not a dynamic personality, but I still think he's a good football coach.
Yes.
But I don't know if that translates at Texas without the personality to go with the acumen.
You got to be able to smooth with the guys.
You do.
Says, I don't go to the country club. I don't play golf.
He said that a couple of weeks ago.
I don't play golf. Well, Charlie, you got to go out there and shoot 200.
Something. or figure something else to do. Yeah, go to dinner. He said, I call him. I keep in touch.
No,
it's not enough.
You got to see it. Skip, I'm looking at Charlie Strong, and I looked at him the first week against Notre Dame and the excitement and of winning that ball game and that shootout, and I saw him Saturday. Skip, he's aged 10 years and 4 months.
I agree.
I mean,
I do. I'll be relieved for him when he's out from under this.
First of all, he needs to go somewhere because I think he was able to flourish at Louisville because the pressure wasn't what it is at Texas.
It's not.
So because 8-4-93 at Louisville is good. You can keep that job for 15 years. You're not keeping this job at the University of Texas. Mm-hmm. Like I said, these gold stars, the Alabamas and the USCs and the Texas and the Notre Dames and the Ohio States and Michigan, Skip, you need 10-2. You need playoffs. You need, the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl. You need to get into those games. Mm-hmm. Playing December 18th in a bowl game, it's not going to cut it at the University of Texas.
Which is what he did the first year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't fault him for trying to better his career by taking this job.
No.
It doesn't feel like enough time to turn it around, but like you said, the expectations of Texas, it doesn't work.
For what it's worth, he will get $10.7 million in a buyout.
Hey, I ain't looking for no job. You Charlie, we interested in you, coach.
Nah.
Click.
I'm not working this year.
Hey, I'm looking at the call ID. This is a solicitation call. I ain't even answering that. No, 10.7, Skip, I'm shutting it down. For my next job, I'm going to an ideal situation where I can be me. I don't have to play golf. I don't have to meet with the boosters. I mean, you're going to have to do it sometime, but it's not going to be a weekly occurrence where I got to go shake hands and kiss babies and
it's
pat
people. It's not going to age in 10 years.
No. I'm going somewhere where I can win. 8-9 games a year will be good enough for me to keep gainful employment, and I can live a happy and prosperous life. But that's a pressure cooker. You go to those 5-6 big-time schools,
you got to be all in.
Yeah, it takes a special guy to coach there.
Next up, the Redskins offense took over last night.